Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen, where we interview the world's highest quality communicators, professionals, business owners, creatives, and everything in between. It doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you're a high quality communicator, there's a good chance you're living a lot happier life, but you're also bringing those opportunities into your life almost like a magnet. My guarantee is that on this show, we only interview people that I, one, look up to, and two, that I know are going to continue to kill the game for years to come, and I want to make sure they're on your radar. But what I've learned is by asking the best questions, we get the best responses, and that's what the highest quality communicators, our social sellers, are all about. Let's hop inside to the Social Seller Podcast. Welcome back to the Social Seller Podcast with Conor Paulsen. Today we have a special guest, the founder of tapmental.io, Dave Goodall. Now, Dave is a good friend of mine, and we've known him for 5+ years and been fortunate to get to meet you in person multiple times. And most importantly, get to learn from you and in our friendship and in the ways that we've been able to help each other professionally. Now, you are an absolute rock star, and you have such an alpha presence about you. And I know that's what attracts a lot of individuals. And then once they get to actually meet you and sit down, it's this very compassionate version of it that is a special balance that I, like we were talking about, it attracts awesome professionals that you get to work with and help. Now, outside of just a little bit more before we hop in. So Dave Goodall helps entrepreneurial minded leaders align their energy, skills, and business processes to realize their dreams. Growing up in his father's countertop manufacturing plant, he fell in love with the idea of business at a young age. Gifted with dyslexia, he realized that he could see things that others struggle to see. His education in electric engineering and neurolinguistic programming allowed Dave to bring an analytical approach to solving your problems. He spent over 20 years in the IT industry developing tech teams and delivering product support and change management integration solutions. Now, there's a lot more we can talk about. And I know a lot of this dives into mental and emotional programming. And you have dabbled in such wild areas, and I see how they're all coming together. And that's a big part of why we had to have you on the Social Seller. So Dave, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
what the hell is NLP?
Is a pleasure. What is NLP? I kind of like to make a joke about this. Remember how we were told as kids, sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt me. NLP is Neurolinguistics Programming. It's the brain mapping to the language patterns we receive. So when you say names will never hurt me, yes, it's true, physical, but there's an unconscious programming on language patterns on how we receive them. And language patterns can trigger us for success or trigger us for failure. And I discovered that, I knew it for a long time. With the dyslexia, I started to see the patterns, but I didn't know what it was until my daughter was diagnosed autistic at the age of 9. And I just became obsessed with neuroscience. How does our brain work? How do we map out? And with that journey, I've had huge success with my daughter, and my other daughter's dyslexic like myself. And where at first I thought it was a disability, it's actually almost like a superhuman ability. I don't learn the same way others do, but I see things differently that others don't or do. And so neurolinguistics programming is neuro, brain, linguistics, language, programming, how we have programmed what we hear based on language.
Absolutely. And I am fascinated by NLP. And I know it has helped well-known professionals like Tony Robbins, and a lot of who Tony is NLP marketed and branded in other ways. And I say that because that's a name people know. Now, there's a lot of other professionals and people getting to help the world in so many different ways. And a lot of your work is focused around helping business owners and entrepreneurs. Why did you want to focus your area? And I guess before we hop into that, what kind of problems are these individuals coming to you with, right?
Yeah, they vary, right? The biggest problem is there is one particular limiting belief that all of us have. These are business owners that have built businesses or running sales teams and running sales organizations, and they're seeing success. But I love Albert Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Typically, a client approaches me when they're like, man, I'm highly successful, but I'm stuck. Like, tell me what, they have blind spots that they can't see. So they don't know how to motivate team members, or they can't make decisions to let certain team members go, or how to build out a team, or how to create language patterns from a sales conversation. Basically, a lot of my clients are doing things the hard way and they know it can be easier. And they reach out to me to like, can you help me find a pain point so we can get this easier? We can make more money and have more fun. I know that's kind of a broad, it's never one specific. It's specific to the person, right? And a lot of it is getting that ability to see the potential for growth. Like I've had a client that's in negotiating right now that he was on a 3 to 4 year trajectory to sell his business. In 17 months, we put a $4.5 million price tag on his business, and I think they're going to close before the end of the year. I had another client that was stuck in a money story that over time, her income has decreased over 4 years with her sales territory getting bigger. We helped put values around who she was as a person and why she does what she did, why she does what she does. Renegotiate her salary back to $250,000 a year. And literally after MER, the company was bought out. Her franchise was bought out for $300,000 on top of her $250,000 income. She's going to make over $500,000 income this year, which allowed her to leave that company and follow her dream and partner with a family business and that kind of stuff. So a lot of it is this one stuckness that, rip that out, and then it just opens the floodgates.
Yeah, you're almost being able to work with a professional like yourself, and I've met a handful. There aren't that many, but master NLP, and that's the highest level of credentials, as far as I understand, that you can get, and it takes years often to get to this level. That's what Tony's at. This is what you're at, Dave. You mentioned MER, and I want to hop into what that is, but it sounds like you're helping people program their minds, right?
Yeah.
And program are more just shape their minds so that we can be more aware of our thoughts and maybe tap into happiness and fulfillment and what we want deep down. And sometimes we don't even know it at the surface level, right? Would you say that's somewhat accurate?
Yeah, well, completely. So neurolinguistics programming is kind of a pseudoscience. It was research that started back in the 60s and 70s when they were having psychologists and psychiatrists having high success, and they're trying to figure out what they were doing. What they were identifying was patterns in the way that humans think. Now, is it 100% accurate for everyone? No, but there's alterations to patterns and different techniques and tools in the toolbox and et cetera. But you can learn a lot from somebody listening to their language patterns, right? There's an exercise I do with all my clients. Are you down for a quick exercise?
Let's do it.
Awesome.
Yes, please. So, and this episode is on biohacking. I'm already realizing it. Yeah. Biohacking the mind, and you would be the perfect expert to dive in.
So basically, when people can speak and communicate, there's a translation going on, right? I'm working with a client right now. He's multilingual. He's English speaking and French speaking. So when I'm doing NLP, I have to ask clarifying questions. I was like, did you just translate that in French to English or English to French? And then did you create a picture, a see, hear, or feel? So usually when people are speaking, you're internalizing see, hear, or feel. You're translating it so you're painting a picture for yourself. So I'm going to speak a sentence. I don't know how you translate, but let me know what you see, hear, or feel. You ready?
Yeah.
I saw a man with binoculars. What did you see, hear, or feel?
I saw an older gentleman with binoculars.
Yeah. So listen to my words carefully again. I saw a man with binoculars. I'm using the binoculars to see the man. I saw a man with binoculars. It's called a presupposition, right?
Okay.
Based on your experiences, when you heard I saw a man with binoculars, you're picturing a man walking around bird watching, using binoculars, etc. But I could have position that as, hey, I'm using binoculars to see this man, right? As leaders, business developers, sales organizations, as we're speaking, is our version of what our intention landing? We don't know. A lot of us, we assume, especially in sales, right? We get panicky, we get in the bits and bytes. Did you know Inc. magazine a few years ago did an article that 95% of all sales decisions are made from the heart space? The unconscious mind makes that decision whether they're going to buy or not. But 95% of all salespeople is like, look at the features, look at the specs, look at what it can do. They're not making the connection of the product, service, or solution and how it fixes their problem. And that's why I love NLP, because it allows us to use language patterns to get to the person's heart space, the unconscious mind, so they know that that product's going to fix their problem. And we learned this too. The 4 primary objections are time, money, belief in the product, and belief in you. So when we're doing a sales presentation, I know we took a turn real quick into sales, but when we're doing a sales presentation, you as the seller need to be making a connection with that other person, finding out what their problem. Then you need to present your product, service, or solution, how it will solve their problem. You need to be building rapport so they trust you. And then you need to find a way that they can share with you how this product, service, or solution is going to integrate to their business, their functionality, and how it will ultimately solve their problem. It's all done with language patterns. It's all asking questions, right? But we get into panic mode, and that goes into the next step. I know you'll probably want to talk about is energy. Energy controls our emotions. Our emotion controls our language, and it's all based on our unconscious programming. What we saw, heard, or felt by the age of 7. I'll let you go from there.
I'm over here getting too excited. I had to mute before I blew my nose quick.
No worries, man. No worries.
To give listeners a little context, I love what we're already diving into. You are providing gold nugget after gold nugget. Now, I want to make sure that the listeners understand it too. So the baseline is Dave and I, we both went, when you first got started in NLP, we went to a practitioner in-person event together here in San Diego for a few days. And that's what really opened my eyes, because we got to see the real science. And that was the thing, because I didn't believe in all of it. I wanted to, because I saw successful people believed in these things. Now, on the energy side, you're absolutely right. And I see in sales, right? 95% of a sale is decided by the heart space, aka emotion, right? So it's what kind of connection can we create, and how can we paint that better picture of the future for them, in doing it from an authentic place, right? And making sure that it's a product that can get them there. I love that you mentioned that. When you go into work with a sales team, Dave, what are typically the top areas or mistakes they're making outside of that, or instead of phrasing it that way, what are the most effective ways that you train some of the sales teams that you work with to build that connection?
Well, I mean, you've got so many sales mentors out there today. You got the Grant Cardones, and you got these high pressure, high forceful salespeople. And if you want to engage with me, that's not who I am. I don't want to high pressure sell anybody, because I don't want somebody coming back. I want to be able to sleep at night. If I sell you something you don't need, eventually you're going to figure that out, and you're going to tell 10 people about that. Right? So the first question I ask a sales team, I'll sit down in a room and I'm like, okay, we got 10 people in here. Tell me about your product, service, or solution. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 is I crush it. This product, service, or solution crushes it. And 1 is, I can't sell this to anybody. Where are you right now? And I'll tell you right now, it amazes me the percentage of people that score a 6 or below. They don't believe in their product, service, or solution. If you're not at least an 8 in believing that your product, service, or solution can solve somebody's problem, that you yourself would buy it if you were in the same situation, you're in the wrong business. Either you need to go back to the drawing table and learn about your product, or you need to find a new company that you can sell their product, right? So you have to believe in your product. If you don't believe in your product, it's going to feel dirty. There's a negative connotation around sales, because you have to be dirty. Used car salesman is usually what comes up. And actually the root word of sales is, I think it's called seje. It's a Norwegian word. It's to serve. Sales is to serve people. You have a solution to remove pain from somebody or to make life easier. And you need to know your product 100% to be able to prove that that's going to solve their problem. That's where you start. It's simple. Know your product, period.
I love that. And to coattail that, oftentimes in sales, and I caught myself, and once in a while I catch myself still talking on the features, right? The bullet points, the the dimensions of the product, right? If I'm selling a laptop, instead of telling you how this is going to save you a ton of time and this is going to allow you to grow your business and scale faster than ever before and be organized, most people at Best Buy are probably going to sell you on, look at the processor, this speed, it's the screen 17 inches, right? Oh, we put 3 extra keys in. And do we realize how that's not how we like to be sold when we're at Best Buy?
What I would do to you is like, hey, Conor, I hear you're looking for a laptop. Tell me about your current laptop. What's working for you on it and what's not? He may come back, it's like, oh, wow, I've had it for 2 years. I'm really pissed off that if I haven't disconnected from power in about 20 minutes, the battery dies. I was like, oh, so battery life's important to you, right? Yeah, man, there's times I have to, you're in a shared space right now. I have to run down to my shared space and I need that battery to last at least 2 hours. Okay, cool. Now I know a pain point that you have. And then I'm like, well, tell me more. Like, what do you use your laptop for? And you're like, well, I do a lot of graphics. I do a little bit of video editing. And right now, man, it's taken like 5 minutes to render a 1 minute movie. I'm like, oh, great. So you do video editing and you would like that to be faster for you. All I'm doing is I'm repeating their pain point. And they're like, yeah. Now those 2 questions, I've gotten yes from you. Right now, you're ready to buy. You're like, oh, he's already going to fix 2 of my problems, right? Like in the first 5 minutes of the conversation. One, I've built rapport. I haven't said, hey, look at this. You need to buy this now. It's like, hey, what's going on? Where's your pain? Great. So if we can fix your battery issue and we can fix this rendering issue, we got a sale today? Yeah, show me. Now I'm going to show you the bits and the bytes.
Boom. Let's unpack that quick, because right off the bat, you started with a question to like story brand, SB7 framework, right? Identifying the problem. So what brought them in, and allow them in their own words to explain what that problem is, that pain point. Now, repeating it, I love the example you give, because it doesn't seem like you're simply repeating it. And in sales, it took me a little bit just learning to communicate, because I almost felt like, don't they know that I'm pretty much repeating like what they're saying? But it does something in the wiring of our brain, like, wow. And if I was, the customer at Best Buy and you're the Best Buy worker selling me the laptop, can you imagine how we would feel dealing with David, right? He's listening. He's not hearing, he's listening and asking me about my problems. He's not trying to sell me. Remember, 95% of people out there, especially, I think retail is a great place to go look, and retail taught me a ton. They're going to tell you they're going to sell you on the bullet point features. And that makes sense. When we can make that emotional connection, and that's done through quality questions, it turns the conversation into an actual conversation and not a sales pitch, a conversation that usually leads to a sale, right? I love what you said there, Dave, and you even got the buy-in, right? So if we were able to find both of those, another question that I might ask even before that, a subtle follow-up, would be something to understand urgency, right? Are you wanting a laptop to get your work, associate it to the now? Are you looking to leave Best Buy today with a laptop so you can immediately go, start video editing, or is this more of a, January 3rd after the Christmas deals, and maybe there's something, the current one works for the time being, right? Just to understand the urgency to position that.
Yeah, I actually saw, so I'm a geek. I'm always watching videos and stuff, but I saw a car salesman talk about that. He said, car salesman, the typical on the lot, it's pushy. I don't want to deal with this guy. But his strategy, he would walk up to somebody and be like, hey, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself. I'm Dave. I just want to make sure you guys don't have to buy a car today, do you? That was his opening question. You don't have to buy a car today, do you? And they're like, yeah, well, because here's the deal, right? There are 2 people buying cars. People that were in a car accident, the car was totaled, and they got a check. They have no car, they're running out of the rental money, and they need to buy today. Or I'm tired of my new car, and I'm taking my time to shop to get what I want. So right there, he's like, you don't need to buy a car today, do you? Well, actually, we do. Oh, is there a specific car you're looking for? Oh, 4-door V8 engine. Cool. Hey, you know what? Those cars are over there. Here's my card. If you need me, I'll be in the office. And he walks away. And they're like, hold on. Can you show me? So it's like, actually we do. It's like, oh, is there a specific car you need today? Are you looking to replace something? But it goes right into the questions where you want to take that pressure off right away, right?
And
you
it
and I
comes down
learned this.
to us as communicators taking full ownership of that. And what you mentioned earlier, that what we're communicating, we can't assume that they're going to believe it or take it one way. And that's why we need these follow-up questions to really make sure we're in that middle of the balance beam.
I saw a man with binoculars. I do that with all my clients. And then when we're in a conversation, I'll just say, hey, I saw a man with binoculars. Which basically means, what did you mean right there? I know what I'm seeing. Tell me what you're seeing. Because I want to see how you're programming. Like, we don't understand, but most of us don't understand. Our unconscious programming is basically locked in by the age of 7. It's not what our parents told us. It's what we saw our parents, our brothers, our sisters, our moms and dads. We programmed our values and our belief system by the age of 7. From 7 to 28, we're testing those. And by 28, the frontal cortex closes and we kind of lock them in. Neuroplasticity allows us to go in with, you mentioned earlier, mental emotional release, and we can remove any negative emotions, anger, sadness, fear, hurt, or guilt off our timeline, and we can rewire our pathways for the successes we're looking for. I had a client this week that, he's gotten all of his careers, 21 years old, all this other shit, and he's having problems with intimate relationships with men and women, how to have friends, how to be bros, how to have intimate conversations with vulnerability, how to have a girlfriend that doesn't cheat on him. I was like, well, tell me about your mom and dad. He's like, oh man, as soon as I moved out, they were divorced. They've been yelling and screaming at each other. I said, so what I'm hearing is your parents never taught you a healthy strategy to have a trusting relationship. He's like, no, I don't even know what the F that looks like. Great. Now we get to go in and rip out what you were programmed and put a new one in. Right.
I love this example. Keep giving these examples because I relate, and I'm sure listeners, I hope you relate too. Because we are getting a full-blown NLP coaching session and all the stuff on top of it, right? Because it's not all NLP, but the beauty here is pattern recognition, and that's a lot of what NLP is. I've started to realize in the last few years that these patterns are all around us in everyday life. It's the same in business, and the same thing is when we practice these things, like on this call, and when both of us work with coaches outside of our friendship here, and we know a lot of coaches, but that's what allows us to recognize those patterns more effectively. And is it okay if I share one quick point, David, on
go for it.
On what that example that you just shared? Like, you could have challenges with intimate relationships. You could be killing it in the professional world, but then the pain of not being able to have a girlfriend that doesn't cheat on you, to the pain of like, how do I differentiate and have quality bros in my life? Do I want quantity of friends, or do I want a few quality ones? And how do I get depth? Like, I definitely see that. And those are questions that I try to help out with friends, and I go to them with questions too. When I started in NLP and I really started believing in it, and we were at that session, I remember with Dr. Matt Ryan, who was leading it, they started asking, really close your eyes and really think back. What's the earliest childhood memories you have, right? And I remember after 3 to 5 minutes, the lights came back on, and he started going, all right, who had a memory from when they were 15 or younger? And everyone raised their hand. And then, the numbers worked down, and it's how about 10 years or younger? And 25% of the hands went down. And all of a sudden it goes down to 9, 8, and the hands keep going down. And it gets down to 3 years old. People remembering memories, their first memories at 2 to 3 years old, or even 1. And there's still 30 to 40% of hands up. And I'm talking, this is 40 to, 30 to 40 people in a room of 100. I'm like, these people are crazy. And I don't know if I looked at you, Dave, or what, because I was brand new to this NLP stuff. And I was like, how do the earliest memory I can think of, and I really thought hard, was 11. Or maybe 8. I don't know. It wasn't anything like that. Now, what's wild is after the 3 days, I was all of a sudden having vivid memories of when I was 3, 4, and 5 years old. Then a few months later, when I started paying for my own NLP coaching, simply because of the curiosity and this fascination, because I knew a little bit. Once I knew the science was there and it's backed, okay, this is some kind of superpower. I just want to learn it. After the first coaching session, I had the most vivid memory of when I was between the ages of 1 and 2, and I was in the diaper, and I was in the kitchen of the farmhouse. And I remember exactly where I was only in a diaper, and there was some kind of screaming going on. And I don't know if it was my father or if it was someone else in the house, but I associated that experience with I am not loved in some form. and I'm not cared for, right? Now, the crazy thing is I didn't have any kind of memories. I went from 12 to having these, having a little guidance to get into it, and understanding that our subconscious, right, protects us, and it creates these walls and it puts them up. And as we get older, it can become, in some ways, maybe more challenging to break through. But the happiest life, the way I think about it, is I want to break through all these walls. And that's why I love this openness and, curiosity.
Yeah.
Right. So I went into that coaching session thinking, and my goal for it, my first NLP coaching session in January, was to heal in a healthy way, to completely move on and heal from a past relationship, and to just be happy. And going in thinking, yeah, there's something that can maybe fix this. Can NLP fix this? I don't know. But this is the pain that I was in. And it was so much that I wanted to just pay to see, can someone help me? This is where the memory came up. So I went in thinking, this is my problem. And after 2 hours, I have this vivid memory, and we reprogram it based on what I know now. At 1 or 2 years old, Conor, you are loved. You're a baby. You're loved in, there's obviously other details that go along with it, and in the anchoring and the different things we can do. That is the fascination with me. It's not that we're not here to try to sell anyone on this. This is on biohacking the mind, and biohacking if you genuinely want to live a happy life and come from a loving place, so that everyone around us can experience it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's cool, what I heard you say, there was a lot. I heard you say fixing it a couple of times, right? So at Tap Metal, our philosophy here is for any successful change is conscious awareness. Step one, you got to know what you're doing. A lot of us, they come to a coach, they come to me because they know they're doing something they can't see, and we pull the layers back, right? We start with the Energy Leadership Index assessment. You and I did that. That just breaks down what lenses we use to program our unconscious mind. So simplify it: conscious is the conductor of the orchestra. The unconscious is the orchestra. Over time, the orchestra may tell first chair, do it this way, second chair, do it. So as the conscious mind tells the unconscious what to do, it just does it. So it's a command, it's the order taker. So if you think big term, the conscious mind is the goal setter, the unconscious mind is the goal getter. That's what makes the music, right? I heard you say fix a couple times. Fix usually dictates that something has to be broken. Nothing's broken.
I agree. Yeah,
nothing's broken.
What is it? Realign. It's like
realign,
resetting my lens. Resetting my lens.
Reset the lens, right? Things happen for a reason, and not from a religious perspective. But I heard China, I think from Disney, the actress, and this just resonated with me. She's like, you know what? It's like, if you believe in a higher being, God, universe, whatever, I believe there's some form of an existence of something. I don't know what it is, but she had a great example. She's like, God pulls up in the front of the house. You hop in the front seat. He hands you the GPS and says, where are we going? And then you type in the destination. He pulls off. He's going to go get you what you want. He turns left at the first light. And most of us are like, yo, where are we going? We need to turn right here. God's like, no, you told me where you want to go. I'm going to take you there. You need to sightsee on your journey, to learn things, to receive the ability of the destination you're headed to. We think we know how we're going to get there, but often we just need to say where we want to go, and just, dude, you're on a journey. You got to develop muscles to get there. Sometimes you can't get your end goal without developing certain skill sets or muscles. And we're such this, I want it now, I want it now. So when I take people back and they're like, I'm broken, this trauma, this other stuff. I worked with a guy the other night that had experienced, childhood drama, sexual abuse, right? Most horrible thing in life. I don't understand it. It doesn't compute. 3-hour conversation, emotions gone. The meaning behind all of it, the fear, the anger, like all that shit's gone. Now what do you want to do? Right? When we can get rid of where we think we're broken, we're not broken. We've experienced a situation, our ego applies a meaning to it, and then we hold on to that meaning, and it either elevates us to the next step or it blocks us from the next step, right? Where NLP comes in is we help identify the pattern that we've programmed with the unconscious mind. We remove the pattern, and now what do you want to do with it? Where do you want to go? And
once you start diving into NLP and this stuff, because the rabbit hole goes into so many directions.
Oh
right?
my God.
And NLP was just the main thing that kind of tied me in. And I'm realizing there's a whole lot of other stuff going on when you get into like family epigenetics, but this rabbit hole is what opens the door, and pattern recognition is what allows me to go, damn, the thoughts in my mind are so much more important and powerful than what I was thinking even when I watched The Secret for the first time, like 8 to 10 years ago, right? And understanding that was the first little switch of like, wow, my mind can probably control, and build something. But now realizing, whoa, in very subtle ways, we create negative beliefs, or we attach negative emotions to certain things, or we start using the critical C word that none of us should ever use. Can't. Get it out of our language, right?
Can't and try. I'm trying.
Yeah, and try. Love that.
But yeah, man, it's what I love is you and I walked through the ELI, the Energy Leadership Index. We looked at our energy patterns, and a lot of people are like, well, I've got high energy. And I had an example of a client the other day. They're like, well, I've got all these high energies. And I was like, great, that's awesome. So when you're like a level 5, level 6 thinker, that's where you start your conversation. Level 5 is I'm going to roll up my sleeves. Level 6 is there's no such thing as a mistake. It's just added data to know what we need to do next. So if you live in that world all the time, I had a client that was dominant level 5, level 6. His sister embezzled over $250,000 out of his business. His head was so high in the sky, he didn't have enough of that protective catabolic energy, that defense. So he got taken advantage of. So, and that's just our programming, right? We have high energies and low energies. We need to have a balance of all of it so that we know, one, we can protect not just ourselves, but the business we're building. We know how to hire the right people with the right energy that doesn't create a virus that causes everybody else to go shitty. We need everybody to understand their position in the team, what skill sets they bring to the party, how they're going to elevate this company to generational wealth or whatever the end goal is. But NLP and how it works for me is, being dyslexic, I learned and saw things differently. I had a different lens, right? What most people see as dyslexia is letter reversal, and it's actually short-term processing disorder. It's the way that we see the world, right? My left and right, I lose it quickly. But what I've learned is I can see cause and effect really quickly. I can see and feel. I'm very empathetic, very intuitive, and I see things. I see the patterns. I see the connection. I'll share another example real quick with you. We have very low tolerance for level 1 in the house. Like, my daughter was like, well, I'm autistic. Well, once you get outside, nobody gives a shit about you being autistic. So I got to put the tools in your toolbox for you to be successful in whatever it is you want to do. Autism's a gift and a curse, right? There's certain things that are going to be hard for her. Certain things are going to be extremely easy for her. So my daughter, Kennedy, she struggles with some of the social interaction. She doesn't understand how to read people as well. She's in a STEM program. She's in an internship. She's getting paid. She's down at NC State every other weekend. She's doing, and she races mountain bikes. This chick is cool as hell. So last week she was running in the house. She's like, oh, I don't feel good. I don't want to go to school tomorrow. And Jen and I, we struggle with the level 1 victim. Like, what's the deal? I don't feel good. This went on for 2 hours, and Jen's starting to attack her now. And I turned around to Jen and said, it has nothing to do with her being sick. Ask her why she doesn't want to go to school. And all of a sudden Kenny was like, well, there's this girl, blah, blah, blah. And she picks on me at lunch, and she's like, I don't understand. So she was worried about going to school because of the bullying, right? The unknowing of, I don't understand what's going on. So it's that I saw a man with binoculars, right? Jen heard my daughter's playing small. I heard there's something else going on. That dyslexic mind allows me to see, hear, and feel things a little bit differently than our programming. And all of our triggers is based on our judgments, based on our life experiences. What we attract what we know. Like energy attracts like energy. If you're pissed off, you're going to attract more situations to piss you off. If you're happy and collaborative and you're growth minded, dude, you'll look around one day and you'll be sitting at the dinner table with 5 or 6 dudes that are like, dude, I just sold my business for 5 million. I sold mine for 20. Hey, how did you do that? Now you got this collaboration because now you've elevated this energy that you want to share and collaborate, and share success. So sorry, I went on a tangent.
Dave, are you telling me that being happy and being authentically happy might actually be a superpower within itself? That maybe we're not just striving for it, but that if we are authentically happy and can implement some routines to tap into it on a daily basis, we're human. We're not always going to feel it.
Yeah.
But if we consistently do, it sounds like we almost become a magnet for good opportunities, good people,
100%.
and good relationships.
Look, people that are miserable surround themselves with miserable people. People that are happy and successful surround themselves with happy people. If you look down to us as human beings, we're animalistic, right? We're tribal-based creatures, right? What tribe are you in? Are you in the tribe when you fall down? Does everybody that you're surrounding yourself with jump down on the floor with you? Or do 3 or 4 dudes going, bro, get the F up, get up here. What'd you learn? Okay, cool, wipe it off, let's move on. If you're on the tribe that your tribe snuggles up on the floor with you and has a pity party, you're on the wrong effing tribe. You need to have that tribe that's going to kick you in the ass. And you could be the low man in the tribe. That's almost the best place to be. If you're the leader of the tribe, you need to be looking for that next tribe, right? If you're the one in the pack of the pack, that's the perfect place to be because you're going to have the most growth energetically, mentally, emotionally, and physically.
I love that. And that taps into at a high level, what are some of the easy steps? How can we put ourselves in environments, Dave, to be around these individuals? And like you said, the same cliche, you never want to be the smartest in the room. It's absolutely right. Being maybe the weakest link in a group, you're in the best place. If you surround yourself, if we're the average of the 5 people we spend the most time with, and it's in order, right? So the 1 or 2 people that you spend the most time with, if it's quite a bit more time than the 3rd and 4th, the top 1 and 2 have more influence on you, right? So it's just being extra aware of them. What I've found in my life is it is one of the most seamless transitions to just surround yourself with people you look up to. And yes, there are times we're intimidated by these individuals because they're really good at something. And we really look up to them because usually that's an area of life that I'm not that good at. So I look up to them. But instead of being scared, I long for, all right, I just want to be around them because I've done it enough where I realize a lot of times I just have to ask them a couple of questions about how they view it. How do you wake up at 4 a.m. every morning? Oh, well, I don't look at screens from 5 to 7 p.m. and then I'm in bed by 7:30 and then I'm journaling reading. Oh, okay. And, I make sure I get 8 hours. Like that's guaranteed. That's what I live by. Oh, and maybe that clicks for me, right? It was, oh, so he's just getting rid of screens. He's allowing his workday to start sooner, he or she, right? But it's that simple little mental, it's the puzzle piece that has to just be put in and now all of it makes sense. That's the power of surrounding yourself with successful people. Yeah. It's not that crazy. It's not that far-fetched. The guy that does 100 million a year in a company, yeah, it's probably intimidating. It'd be a little intimidating going into that conversation, but getting the opportunity of knowing, damn, there's so much to learn from this person.
And here's the deal. Those successful people put their pants on just like you and I do. And they want to share their pain points. Like I can't tell you how many people I've sat down. It's like, okay, so you're managing $80 million in real estate. What was your biggest fuck up? Right then and there, he's going to share. He's like, dude, don't do this. This hurts a lot. And they're going to, cool. How did you get out of it? How did you develop the perseverance? What did you do? Right then and there, I'm like, I need to be around this guy more. He thinks differently. He doesn't see the problem as a problem. He's solution focused. I had a guy that literally he managed $80 million in real estate. And during the 08-09 crash, all of his investors were his mentors. They were all retired, sitting in Florida, and he's managing this portfolio of people's retired monies. He's talking to a hedge funder going, file bankruptcy. He's like, wow. He's like, I've got 50 families, generational wealth in the palm of my hand. If I walk away, he's like, dude, what do I do? We developed a plan. Dude, he's been liquidating, reselling. He's on he's put cash in his bank. He's bought, we were at a situation, he's like, they're up in Maine, and he's like, how are these guys buying brand new snowplows? And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, snow's coming. I'm like, dude, you own real estate, management, properties, and what, you don't have a snowplow? I'm like, how much can your snowplow company charge your real estate company if you go buy 2 trucks? What does it cost to put two guys behind the wheel to snowplow your properties? What can you charge yourself? Like, he started a new business. And he's like, man, I can leverage some assets and go take a loan out. I can buy trucks. So what happens is we get stuck in our own belief. He had some lack mindset, low income. I can't afford trucks. How do these guys buy trucks? And we looked at it a different way. No, your trucks can be an asset that makes you money, even off of debt. Different way of thinking. Now I like to collaborate with this dude because he's doing stuff that I'm not doing, but I can bring stuff. Dude, we're all connected. And everybody wants, who doesn't love a Cinderella story? The underdog. Everybody loves the underdog.
I love them.
And I guess that's how I look at myself. I was laid
That's
off.
exactly right. Do you ever view your own life as kind of a movie? And
I do.
I'm always the underdog and I want to always be.
Well, I was laid off from the IT industry. I had a 22-year career in the IT industry. I worked for Fortune 100 companies and I was on a Tiger team and I got let go. And I was like, you know what? F this. They're billing me out at $400,000, $500,000 a year. I'm going to do this on my own. And I had a couple of buddies over here. We were smoking cigars about 2 weeks ago. And my buddies were like, how the F did you do that? You said F the system and you said, I'm going to do it on my own. He's like, I wouldn't have had the balls. And I'm like, dude, I was scared shitless 4 years ago. I'm a multi-six-figure earner saying, F you, I'm going to do this on my own. That's an underdog story right there. How am I going to meet people? I was connecting with you right on the beginning of that journey, right? I was scared shitless. I had a lot of confidence, a lot of history, a lot of background, but what I did is I think in that situation, I made you part of my tribe because you were young, ambitious. The world hadn't beat you down enough yet to be bitter and pissed off. You had enough of that energy that I wanted to collaborate with you and your team because of the energy you bring to the conversation. Where I'm weak, you're strong. That's why you're in my network, right? You got to build yourself a network of people that are stronger than you and where your weaknesses lie, because that's going to give you that day when you're like, F it, I don't want to get out of bed. You're like, but if I don't, and Conor shows up for me and I don't show up for him, I'm a piece of shit. And I don't want to be that guy.
Right? I love that you say that. And that is a huge motivator in my life too. It's the selfishness. So a big driver and motivator for me in the mornings, whether it's waking up early or getting a workout done when you're tired or whatever it is, getting work done when you know you don't want to do something, it's the selfishness of the team. And I know they're pulling their weight and and we want to just lead by example. We believe that, the practitioners are always going to win in life. The ones that are out there doing it, you get to see the real world feedback the quickest and you're in the know with it. And I also think it's hopefully what a professional considering a company to work with would look for, right?
Well, I mean,
from the top to bottom, do they have their hands, sleeves rolled up? Are they involved?
Exactly. But that's why we work together, right? There's things in the business that I don't want to do. We talked about it yesterday. I hate prospecting. I hate marketing. I hate bragging about myself. I hate talking about myself. I know I got to share stories of my struggles to my overcome, because that allows people to believe in me, to have conversation with me, that I can help them see a way out. But, I've got this humbleness that it's like, this dyslexic internal conversation of, well, I was always the dumb guy in the room. Most people don't know I struggled to get out of high school. I had a 1.7 GPA. I was in, the irony, I was in summer school class for English 3 years in a row. And now I study and analyze language patterns. I have the highest ratio on Grammarly for words used on a weekly basis, so the irony of where my weaknesses has now become my strength. But I do work with you because it's the area that I struggle and I don't want to learn it. I hire you to do it. Right. And there's people Absolutely. That we all have to hire people to do the stuff we hate. We either have to pull on our boots, pull up our big boy pants and go learn it and do it, or we go find someone to help us do it and pay them to do it for us. And that's the connection and the unity of business, is we can never do it all. We need to find those partnerships, those joint ventures. Who can help me here? Who can help me there? I'll circle back to sales real quick. I work with some high construction sales teams. I mean, multi-million-dollar teams. And we had to shift their thinking. They're like, well, I got to go in and do this sale. I'm like, no, you got to go in, find out who they know. Well, why would I do that? I'm like, because that person might not be your client, but if they're in a construction industry and those are your clients, I'll bet you they know 10 to 15 other clients that are your clients. I said, so get to know them, connect. So that's that build rapport, find their problem. Can you solve their problem? Present your solution, how it solves their problem, or ask them if they have any friends with other problems that you know they can solve. So it's very simple. It's like, you and I have done work off and on. Sometimes you've been able to solve my problem. Sometimes you haven't. Now we're in conversation again, where there's a new problem coming up that we're in conversation that you can solve that problem. It might be a 90-day fix, a 6-month fix, but it's building these joint ventures and relationships on your journey. That's what's going to give you that success long-term. Really building relationships in your community, in your industry. And I'll tell you what, like with the work we've done together, I've helped you with some stuff. I know you're out there going, when you're listening to other people and truly listening, you're like, hey, you need to work with my buddy Dave. He's helped A, B, and C. So the relationships, and people don't really understand the referral network and how that works. A strong referral network will put food on your table for the rest of your life. It's that marketing, that next level stuff that puts you in the BMW, puts you in the Mercedes Benz, puts you on the beach of Florida or California or down in Mexico. It's the referral business will keep you fed. It's that next level marketing that gets the generational wealth.
A quality network. Absolutely. And that takes a quality individual. And I think, simply put, it's having values and stating values and then trying to live each day as close to those values as you can. And now the one point I also want to make here is a mild step, or a step before even hopping into what you just mentioned, Dave, is also being able to assess ourselves, right? Assess ourselves without a bias, and then assessing our businesses without a bias, right?
Yeah.
Because there are strengths and weaknesses in all of them, right? And I like to say, I know I'm gifted with a couple strengths and a lot of weaknesses, so I choose to just focus on those couple, right? I have a lot of friends that I look at them and I'm like, they have a list of 25 strengths, and I mean it. Like, they are good at these, like tech side development. Somehow they're a design team, and then they can communicate and go pitch on stage, and I'm like, whoa, right? But this is me. ADHD, all of this is what makes me a superpower. And if I stay in my lane, I'm happy. And that's the other thing. What makes us happy, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes there's so much pain within something in our personal life or professional life where it makes sense to spend money. And that's where I was on a personal side to get into coaching. And now this has turned into, by deciding to get into coaching. And this started, over the last few years, getting to work with you and going through the ELI and understanding how the different levels of energy work. And wow, I was hanging out in the low level energy for a while through college. And I'm so grateful that you and me connected. I was a junior, I think, in college, if not a sophomore. And you met Chris and I, and you were helping me with a lot of this stuff. And I remember pacing around the basketball court across the street from one of the dorms when I was talking to you after a work day, going through it. And I was just fascinated because as you would explain the energy levels, and a person at this level often is thinking in these terms, and I'm like, whoa, it makes it so real. So the point I want to make there is, again, being able to assess ourselves, and that we all have strengths and weaknesses. It is just as beautiful to identify our weaknesses, because this should be something that should be a goal, to bring someone else that is good in that area, and then life gets a lot better. But you can't do that all right off the bat.
No, and I'll wrap up with this, right? I saw a coach this morning, and he made, again, I'm an obsessed learner, so I'm always looking for new ideas. And he said, you know what? He said, life is fair, but the costs are different. And I was like, life is fair, but the costs are different. He's like, let me elaborate on that. He said, you and I are coming out of college. We've been on the college baseball team, right? And we're entering freshmen into the college baseball team. You're throwing a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I'm throwing an 80-mile-an-hour fastball. We both have aspirations to the MLB. We know what the rules are. I tell my clients all the time, there's those that play the game, there's those that don't, and those that don't know it exists. Right? That's in everything, right? You and I want to be in the MLB. We know what it takes to get there. You've got 100, I've got an 80. Just because you have 100 doesn't mean I can't get in the MLB. I can. my cost to get there is going to be different than yours. The front end opportunity is fair. These are the rules. This is how you get in here. Yeah. But now I might have to get coaches. I might have to go hit the gym. I might have to get a nutritionist. I might have to hire a guy that can break down a throw. Like my investment for that opportunity might be different than your investment. But the opportunity front end is fair for everybody. And what happens is I might look at you and like, man, life's not fair. He can throw 100, I can throw 80. And then I get down that level 1, level 2, and I become a little bitch. And I start pissing and moaning and talking shit about you. And what does that do? That gets me surrounded by asshole people.
You attract victims. You become the magnet of other victims when you are a victim.
So that resonated with me. It's like, be careful. Like the fairness is there. Life is fair. The costs are different. And like what you said earlier, your one buddy's up at 3 a.m. How do you do that? Well, he just went through his payment plan. I shut down my screen time. I do this. I have a nutritionist. My food's prepped. It's delivered every Monday. Like there's things that he has done to invest his payment plan for the successes that he wants out of life. And some people will look at that and they're like, I can do that. And some people look at that as like, I ain't doing that. Yeah. Well, then continue to live your life. Like
absolutely.
No bitching and
just be aware that these conversations are happening, and at some point in life, there's a good chance you'll feel some pain, and that a lot of times pain, and if it's enough pain, allows you to tap into like, I want something different in life. Whatever has gotten me here, I want to change it. And that is a magical point to take action. Either enough pain or we're pulled by the fulfillment and happiness of what could be. And there's beauty in all of it. Dave, with everything you're doing at tapmental.io, I know you were mentioning a book that you had just finished, and I'm excited because anyone that got any level of value from this conversation, I know you went deep in this and really explaining every aspect of this. Can you explain, and is it possible to get access by the time this goes live for anyone who listens?
Yeah, no, the book is completely free. There's no email required. I've learned on my journey that I want to impact as many people as I can in a positive manner. The whole conscious, unconscious programming, how it works, how we set goals. Just like the example I used, life is fair, but the cost is different. That's why goals are important, right? Yeah. If you go to tapmental.io, on the top bar, it says free ebook. There's an ebook that's about 47 pages. It talks about how the conscious and unconscious mind communicates to one another and how we achieve goals. What I do differently from a SMART goal perspective is most people, when I sit down with my clients, I'm like, what do you want? And most of the time they'll spend an hour bitching and complaining about all the pain points. In this process, there's a pain point process. Write down all the bullshit that's in your life. I'm going to have you scale on a scale of 1 to 10 on the 5 primary areas of your life. You're going to identify the most pain that you're feeling today, where you're seeing the success and the pain. And usually that one pain point, whatever category it is, it's that catabolic energy we talk about. The fire truck in the background. Catabolic energy makes us dumb. When we live in a catabolic state, we lose our IQ up to 80%. That's why when business owners get trapped in, oh shit, money, oh this, oh that, and then they start making really stupid mistakes because they haven't developed a strategy to get out of the catabolic state. The free ebook will show you, anabolic, catabolic, how conscious mind and unconscious mind, how it works. And there's worksheets on how to construct goals. And there's also a process in there. If you're going through and you get stuck, you can click a link, schedule a 30-minute call with me. We'll break it down for you and see if there's an opportunity where I could potentially help you.
I love it, Dave. Thank you for all the good you do in the world and for all the professionals and all of your clients that get to listen in too. I'm fortunate to call you a friend, and I will include the link below for the ebook and being able to look through it. This is very, very close, if not spot on, to the exact same structure that I went through in January that led to the most personal and professional growth I've ever gone through in my life. And I'm talking about this year, right? It's November 24th and the time we're recording, but it was January of this year when I was feeling the most pain I've ever felt in my life. And I didn't know. in
It's all
different
in
ways,
there.
right? It was
Yeah.
all coming together, but it was this low level energy, and there was a victim state, and it was breaking free. And goddamn, I'm happy I did.
Well, that was that one
Um,
area of your life, right? I know it was
it
around
opened the doors.
relationships and
It
stuff.
takes one door to open the others, I
But that
realized.
bleeds, that's why Tap Mental, our philosophy is, if I could help you tap into your mental programming, knowing that it was locked in by the age of 7, we could adjust one thing to make everything easier. Would you want to take a look? Kind of goes back to the matrix, red pill or blue pill. Do you want to know? I am amazed at how many people are like, nope, my life's shitty. It's shitty enough. I don't want to know. I'm just going to tolerate with what I got. Those are the people that it breaks my heart. I'm like, dude, it's just one thing. One thing and it all gets easy. Nope. This sucks. I don't want any more suckness, is their philosophy, right? They just can't see the potential of greatness.
Exactly. So. And we all deserve to feel greatness, to live it in whatever capacity, because we all deserve to live a happy life that we're excited to wake up for each day, because we're coming from a loving place, and abundance trickles. So Dave Goodall, founder at Tap Mental, thank you for your help. I'll include the link in all of your socials below so people can get in contact with you on Insta, all the other platforms. Thank you, my man. I appreciate you.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
But I also know other people who need to work for 30 minutes on, 5 minutes off. I think it's different for everybody, right? I mean, what would you say yours is? And if you agree or disagree with that.
I agree. And the beauty in it is, again, we're all different. So there's going to be those subtle certainties and things that are just a little different for everyone else. Yeah, I would have to agree with you that